Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another live stream. So we've got all sorts of milestones for gold and silver. We're just breaking new ground with these metals every day, it seems like. Here's a headline from Bloomberg for you from today. Gold bars are worth $1 million for the first time. Now, unfortunately, I don't own $1 million gold bar. Maybe some of you out there do. Maybe there's some heavy hitters or central bankers who tune into this live stream. But what they're referring to here is the 400 troy ounce bars that are traded on exchanges or that underpin the metals markets. The sort of thing that the London Metals Exchange, the COMEX, the central banks around the world are stacking. But because on Friday, gold hit a record all-time high, we are seeing records being broken. And one of those is that for the first time ever in history, as you can see on this chart from Bloomberg, these bars are now worth $1 million a piece or more, headed much higher, very likely. We're going to talk about the setup for the gold price and the silver price here because it's pretty remarkable. It's hard to imagine a more bullish setup for gold and silver. And Dan in the chat here says, silver has a long way to go to attract retail investors. And you are right. I believe that it does have a long way to go, but I think we're going to get there. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the factors driving this bull market, some of the most recent news updates. And of course, keep in mind, today's video sponsor, sdbullion.com. You want to get a big gold bar. They don't have 400 ounce bars, but they do have kilo gold bars. Again, I don't have any kilo gold bars myself, but maybe there's some heavy hitters who tune into this channel that might have something like this sitting in a safe somewhere. A kilo gold bar will cost you about $82,000 today, which of course is also record all-time high because the price of gold just keeps going. If you are new to stacking, you want to get some maybe smaller pieces of gold, you can check out sdbullion.com/new, and you can get a 10-gram gold bar, sort of the starter pack for gold. Maybe you graduate to the 400-ounce bar someday, but you can get one of those at spot from SD Bullion. New customers can also get silver at spot. To get that deal, check out sdbullion.com/new. Now, let's get into the charts here to start things off. So, gold had a very bullish development today. In fact, I think this is a confirmation that the breakout is on. Now, what gold did on Friday was, very big deal. I mean, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here. Gold had a big breakout earlier in the year. It's been in a trading range for months now, dating back to April, and it broke out on Friday, up above the very psychologically important level of $2,500, also above this top trend line of the consolidation pattern. Now today, this morning, when gold opened, it broke down back into this pattern. However, that breakdown down to around 2485 was met with a significant amount of buying, drove the price right back up above $2,500. So a retracement has been rejected on the chart here. It's after 4 o'clock, so I think we can say that it is that the breakout is intact. Moving on to the silver chart, this is very bullish. I mean, silver had a good day today. It's had several good days. You can see it was in a months-long consolidation, months-long downtrend going back to July. It broke out of that last week, and it just continues putting on gains after that. Now, one thing we are seeing here is this bottom chart is the gold to silver ratio. That number continues to break down because silver is beginning to catch up. And I think that we are in the phase now where we are going to see the gold to silver ratio correct moving forward. It's going to go down because that means silver is going to be moving higher faster than gold. Yeah, gold might continue moving up, but silver going to move even faster. That's why I believe the gold to silver ratio is going to continue breaking down. You can see it's breaking down following touching this key resistance, and we are going to see more of that. Let's get rid of that. Also, very bullish confirmation that the breakout is indeed on is you've got this bullish MACD cross. So you've got the MACD line crossing the signal line, moving above it in a pretty aggressive way here. This is a very bullish buy signal. So not financial advice, of course, but it does look like the setup for silver is very, very bullish. Now, also, I want to show you a pattern we haven't talked about yet. So I'm going to get rid of this MACD, and we're going to switch to a weekly view of silver, and we're going to take a look at something here. So I've pointed this out to you, this big cup and handle formation that silver just broke out of back in March, April time. But this, which goes back to, the 2011 highs, this cup and handle is part of a bigger formation. So we're going to zoom all the way out here back to the 1980 high, and you can see that the cup and handle that silver just broke out of is actually the handle of a much bigger cup and handle formation, which I'm going to draw for you right here. And this is really an incredible setup. This is like a once-in-a-lifetime setup for silver. You've got this huge cup and handle formation that goes back, back to 1980, was that about 45 years. You've got a smaller cup and handle, which makes up the handle of that, and silver is just breaking out of both of these. So this is a very, very bullish chart for silver. The fact that it broke out, it came down and it retested the breakout level at this area of strong support, and now it's rallying. I mean, this is a very, very bullish chart for silver. It's hard to imagine a more bullish one, just from a technical standpoint. But I think that, the fundamentals here confirm we are about to see a big run up in both gold, but even more so in silver. So what is driving silver right now, which today, just zooming into the action today, it put on, another 1%, 1.5%. It's up to 29.38. It's going to be a very big day when silver crosses this previous high here from back in May, around $32. Once we get silver above $32, I think it's going to be off to the races. Maybe new all-time highs possibly in the cards for silver, meaning above $50 an ounce. Now, will that happen this year? I don't know. I'm not trying to put a timetable on it, but I think that the move upward is imminent. Now, the factors driving this, first one, easy money, right? The promise of more easy money from the Federal Reserve. Now, they say it's because they're data dependent, inflation is coming back down. Jerome Powell has told us, we don't want to wait too long to cut rates because inflation, maybe it'll just lag the rate cuts, right? So inflation might keep falling. God forbid that it should fall below 2%, their target, in the event they don't cut soon enough. The reality is they have to cut because the whole economy is falling apart. That's the real reason. You got a crisis in commercial real estate. You got a crisis in regional banking. You've got interest on the national debt over $1.1 trillion. It's the third biggest item on the national budget now. They're continuing to run enormous deficits. They can only continue borrowing this way if they cut rates. The right move to fight inflation would probably be to hike rates from here, but the Fed needs to cut. And that is why this CME FedWatch tool shows us that the December meeting for the Fed, the FOMC, the anticipation is that as of the December meeting, there will be either 100 basis point cuts or a 75 basis point cumulative cuts by that time. That's where the majority of market participants believe the Fed is going to be at that point. So that would mean either, 3 quarter interest rate cuts, so 3 25 basis point cuts, or maybe one hefty 50 basis point cut to, kick things off, or in the mix somewhere. We're going to have 3 meetings, September, November, and December. But then even some market participants are factoring in even more than that. So more easy money is coming. The question now isn't when to cut, but how much. September, we look at the odds there. Looks like most market participants are factoring in a 25 basis point rate cut. Now, if we end up getting the bigger cut, the 50 basis points, that could be a catalyst to send the metals higher. I'm not trying to time anything here. There's even the possibility that maybe they announce the rate cuts and you see a little bit of a corrective action, kind of a buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of effect. But ultimately, the printing presses are going to be running. More easy money is going to be injected into the system, and that is going to be driving the metals higher. Now, this week, on Friday, there is a date you need to watch. It is this Friday at 10 a.m., Fed Chair Jerome Powell will be giving a speech at Jackson Hole. This is an annual Fed event. This can drive markets. In 2022, Powell gave kind of a hawkish speech that triggered a market correction, but this time he may wax dovish, may send stocks, gold, silver, everything higher because the Fed is the primary factor driving markets these days. Honest, price setting mechanisms don't really play any part in these markets anymore. It's all about, how much easy money is the Fed going to pump into this system. Now, I see some folks in the chat, some familiar faces. Hello, welcome. The cat says that Smart Silver Stacker is honest. Oh, thanks. Yeah, at least I believe the things I say. Well, that's true. I mean, I don't get everything right. Nobody does. But look, I'm not giving anybody financial advice. I'm primarily telling you what I'm doing, which is stacking gold and silver, especially silver. I bought on the lows. I bought when it was up above 30. I'm dollar cost averaging. I mean, I think that anything under, let's say $35 silver is a bargain at these points. And honestly, even that would still be cheap. You see gold breaking out to new record all-time highs, and silver is at what, $29? It's like a little over half of its record all-time high. Silver is still incredibly cheap. So yeah, I'm definitely not trying to mislead anybody out there. Check the information. I'm not an expert. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. But, I'm just telling you what I'm doing. So gold has been breaking out to record all-time highs. Goldbacks, and trigger warning, I know some people get triggered by the Goldbacks. I like them personally. They're doing very well. A Goldback exchange rate now over $5. Typically, the Goldback exchange rate is somewhere around double the spot price of gold. Remember, each note is 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. I think I started buying these when the exchange rate was under $3. So those are performing very well. And don't forget, over at the UPMA, the United Precious Metals Association, you can get free storage on Goldbacks, and they'll even pay you interest on your Goldbacks in Goldbacks. So you get paid interest in gold if you set them up with a Goldback lease. Check out upma.org for more information. I see Ghost in the chat there says, I hate Goldbacks. Yeah, they're very polarizing. Seems like some people love the things, some people hate them. I love them. I think they're awesome. You know why? Because they are a real physical form of currency, and they are legal tender in 5 states that you can't just print on a printing press. You got to have gold to make them. So I like them. Now, moving on, I don't want to disable my ad blocker local news station. Let's talk about, I had a story here for you about Antony Blinken. I'm just going to leave my ad blocker on. We're going to get into the geopolitical aspect of things here. Let's just close that. So right now, the update is that Blinken, Secretary of State, is over in the Middle East trying to negotiate this deal between Hamas and Israel. He says that Israel has signed on to what they call a bridging agreement, sort of a pathway to peace. Still waiting on Hamas to sign on for this. Now, everybody's waiting with bated breath for the outcome of these peace talks. Now, hopefully it works out, because anything that would end war and more killing and state-sponsored killing on both sides would be a very beneficial thing, if you ask me. But I don't have a lot of faith in the peace talks at this point, because you're continuing to see news like this from earlier today. Hamas detonating a suicide bomber, claiming responsibility for a suicide bomber who detonated himself near a synagogue in Tel Aviv. So that doesn't seem like a very positive development for Middle East peace. You've also got today from the Islamic Republic News Agency. Remember the Israeli attack on Hodeidah, the Yemeni port? Well, the Houthis have now come out with a response to this, saying that the military aggression by Israel against the port of Hodeidah will be met with a response. So you have the, what they call the axis of resistance over there, the Iranian sponsored groups in that area still agitating, Israel continuing to launch strikes. So I don't have a lot of faith in the peace process, unfortunately. I mean, if it happens, great. if cooler heads prevail, that will be good for everybody, including the global economy, because, if we get involved in a regional war over there, it's going to be very expensive. It's going to be very costly in terms of lives and material and money. But more importantly, a war with Iran could threaten the entire global economy should they decide to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Some updates on that, and it seems like, we are on a path towards a war between the U.S. and its allies and Israel. So this is from today. The House Intelligence Committee Chair, Representative Mike Turner, says that there is a possibility with the advances that have been made under the Biden administration's policy that Iran could declare itself a nuclear weapons state by the end of the year. Now, I'm sure that Iran is working on nuclear weapons. I think that perhaps you can see why they are incentivized to do that, because once you get nuclear weapons, the West seems to kind of generally leave you alone more than not. You see the difference between how the West treats Iran compared to how we treat Russia, China, North Korea, etc. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just how it is. And now you've got members of the House Intelligence Committee telling us that Iran is, potentially months away from declaring itself a nuclear power. Now, that should be highly alarming to anybody. Not necessarily just because Iran's going to have nuclear weapons, but remember this. This is the text of House Resolution 559. I know we all tend to have short memories. This is from November of last year, but this was the resolution that was passed that resolved that the House of Representatives declares it is the policy of the United States, one, that a nuclear Islamic Republic of Iran is not acceptable, two, that Iran must not be able to obtain a nuclear weapon under any circumstances or conditions, and three, to use all means necessary to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, and to recognize and support the freedom of action of partners and allies, including Israel, to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So clearly, I think that this is setting the stage for perhaps a preemptive strike by either the U.S. or U.S. allies in the Middle East on Iran. At any point they want to launch these strikes, they just need to convince the people and the representatives in the Congress, the ones who are going to be calling the shots on this, that Iran has a nuclear weapon. And that basically means that we're going to be using all means necessary to prevent Iran. And I think that that clearly indicates that the use of military force is on the table. I mean, what does all means necessary mean? Does that mean nuclear weapons? I don't know. That would be included in all means necessary, I think. So they're not going to rule that out. So, things in the Middle East are continuing to heat up, and, hopefully the peace process continues. But the price of gold breaking out to new all-time record highs is potentially sending us a warning here that that's not how this is going to shape up. But anyway, take that for what it's worth, prepare accordingly, and I think that now, again, not financial advice, but now might be a good time, even though gold is at record all-time highs, to be accumulating physical hard assets, because I think that $2,500 is just the start. Gold at $3,000 by year-end would not surprise me even one iota. Silver at $35 plus by year-end would also be completely unsurprising to me. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. How much easy money is going to get printed? Are we on the verge of World War III? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe and happy stacking. I will